All right. Well, hey, somebody needs advice. So here we go.
Trust! Trust in us! And David Scales and Jeff Smith will give us advice that we can trust.
It goes without saying. It's brought to you by Sunbum, of course. Promo code Surf Splendor, 15% off. This obviously comes from a listener. They want to know something.
Chaz and David Lee Scales, as parents, I want to know, are you pushing or maybe trying to direct your children to surf? Do you expose them to it? Do you take them surfing? I know, David, you have a young child, I think, so I don't think it really applies to you, so maybe more Chaz. But, is that something you want your kid or kids to do? I have a 4.5-year-old, and he's very excited about surfing. He's interested, and it's because I am, right? But I also have seen other times where parents that surf, they're older than me, right? But parents that surf have kind of either pushed their kids into it, just like, hey, come out with me, come on. And the kids are disinterested. I've seen where the kids do get into it because the parents do. I want my son to surf with me. I want him to come on trips. Like, I want to do that with him. If he's not into it, that's fine. I want him to be outside in nature, not stuck on a phone. It's okay. But I would love for him to be a part of it. So how do you do that? Do you expose them to it, take them out, but not push them, or do you just sort of do your thing and hope they absorb it, through osmosis? I don't know. I'd like to hear what you think.
Chaz, you were shaking your head. Heck no.
I mean, my heck no is to push them into it, right? To make them do it. Making somebody like making your kid go outside is important, I think, right? Making your kid do something physically active outside is important. There's a lot of important things that making your kid do. You as a parent, it's incumbent upon you, right? You are, I would reckon or argue, you're a bad parent if you let your child sit indoors all day and play video games.
Correct.
There should be forced, I don't care, you get outside and I don't care what it is, but you do it, right? When it gets to be specific, you get outside and you play lacrosse. You get outside and you play soccer. You get outside and you surf. That's where it becomes problematic to me. So if you want your kid to surf, I think best is we're outside, we're doing a beach day, I'm surfing. So this is the way, and my both daughters love to surf, right? They enjoy it immensely, but they're not like in the middle of winter, let's go surf, right? It's a summer thing for them where love it, it's fun, it's a warmish water thing. And I think that's where, if you want your kid to surf, that's where it starts. It's just beach days, because I think surfing is one of those things where it's purely fun. You shouldn't have to make someone do it. And if somebody doesn't instinctively get that fun, then whatever. Where I would argue, I suppose, that it's important. So if your kid is afraid of the water and or against the water, I think then they're never going to be a surfer. So you might as well force them to do it a bit, just purely for kind of water safety. I mean,
Yeah.
You hear horror stories, right, of kids drowning and whatnot who were with a little bit of awareness of how a wave pushes you, what water does when it's moving, right, in the ocean, how to like escape a riptide, all that kind of stuff is extremely valuable. And surfing is a fun-ish way to figure that out. But for me, you either like surfing or you don't. And to make somebody like surfing seems anathema to the whole point of surfing,
Yeah.
which is the thing that you want to do because you don't like soccer.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think that the best thing that you could possibly do for your children is to give them opportunity. And so if you make the world there, expose them to a lot of different things. But I also believe that human beings are formed with certain predilections, right? And some kids are more indoorsy, some kids are more outdoorsy. And so hopefully you can expose them to every opportunity in the world. So when they're indoors, they have access to arts and crafts and computers and technology and, film art or whatever. And when they're outdoors, they have the opportunity to play in the dirt. They have the opportunity to go skiing, hopefully. Hopefully they have the opportunity to go surfing, maybe to the mountains, maybe fishing, whatever it happens to be. And their predilections will manifest naturally as they would no matter what, you know? And so you trying to force upon them or foist upon them something is probably a fool's errand that will only generate contempt, breed contempt for you, and forcing them to do it. So give them the opportunity to find out what they like the most. And I think that's the best possible thing that you can do for them. And then support them when they pursue it, you know?
And I think for you as a parent, like it's fascinating getting into stuff that you would have had no idea of otherwise through your kids, kind of,
Totally. Yeah,
is
like
one of the,
ballet.
yeah, exactly, ballet. It's like wouldn't have known about ballet or known very little. It fascinates me to no end now. And that's all through the daughter's journey, right? Of
Yeah.
where I didn't push ballet on her. She discovered this herself, and I'm along for the ride there.
Right.
And so I think going along for the ride of what intrinsically turns your kid on is a lot more fun than trying to push them into what turns you on.
That's really interesting. And a great point. And I think also the question verges on a problem, which is imposing your desires so heavily, or like for you to have that desire, it verges on, I want my kid to be a professional surfer, so I'm going to expose them to surfing, you know, and that's an unhealthy thing. It verges on something that's unhealthy in the adult or in the parent that they're going to then impose upon the child. And so that's the only thing I worry about. And of course, there's a healthy version of it, which is, man, I love surfing. It'd be so cool to surf with my kid. That's a healthy version of it. But it does start to push towards a line of, wanting what you wanted for yourself for your child. And so I would just be worried about that becoming blurry.
Yeah, but I mean, this caller, to his point, doesn't seem like he's
No.
got too much. Yeah, like it
The
just
fact that he's asking the question indicates that
for
he doesn't.
sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I think the great way to expose surfing to a kid is just beach days, right? Like if
Yeah.
you're just cruise down to the beach, have a soft top there. If your kid wants to go, and then again, having your kid not be afraid of the water, I think is an essential thing of like building a comfortability with, and not just water, like pool water or whatever, but like with ocean water, right? With the way the ocean works, I fully take for granted in my life, but realize what a, uh, I don't know, benefit that is to understand the way surges work, right?
Yeah.
To like the ocean is a dynamic thing. And so teaching your kid from an early age, however you teach that, but that the ocean is dynamic, it's something to both respect, but also not fear. Like,
Yeah.
because fear is when you really get into trouble, I think, with the ocean.
Well, the best way to teach them that is when you do take them surfing, don't put a leash on them.
Just let them go.
Let them go. Let them have to swim in and get the board. Let them realize that if they do something stupid, they're going to be stuck out there without a board and they'll need to swim, and all of that will foster a real self-awareness and self-sufficiency and everything that you need to be in the ocean rather than
Oh,
a
man,
false sense of security that is the leash.
I will tell you what, and maybe this is bad advice, but a leash on a kid is a rough one anyway. Like the board is going to, like,
Exactly. It's going to cause
boards,
more damage.
it drags them underwater. It
Yes.
like springs back and hits them in the head. It's like chaos. And if your kid is that young anyway, like, I mean, it's a great point, David Lee Scales, is you should be there. You're not like pointing them out and say, hey, paddle out. Like you're in the water somewhere, right? And going to get to them quick enough. And obviously they should be able to swim or tread water enough for you to get to them, but
Right.
or swim in. But yeah, leashes on little kids can be a bummer.
And even as anybody learning how to surf, no matter what age they are, that you should not be out there unless you can swim in the ocean without the board itself. So the leash is a total false sense of security and allows incompetent people to get into dangerous situations.
Unless you're in Byron Bay, where it is now mandatory by law.
That is the point, though. That is the point, is that enforcing people to wear leashes will ultimately yield more injuries than nature would without them.
Leashless chaos. Did Devin Howard have an opinion on leashlessness?
Yeah, he had a pretty strong opinion that he's not. No, it's not good. It's not good for anybody. So, well, hey, we don't need to go to commercial because Sunbum is catering this entire episode just for skin cancer checks awareness.
Join
Right. Well,
us.
hey, thanks Sunbum, of course, for creating a show with no ads and reminding people to know your spots. It's as simple as that. You know your body better than anybody else. So it's the ABCs of skin cancer awareness, and tell your friends as well. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your brothers, tell your sisters, and check your kids too.
Save everyone.
Save everyone.